Rev up your engines. Looking for a good used snowmobile? You can't beat this Toyota Highlander. He came all the way from Chicago and he bought it for $4,700 7 months ago. Now, I know people are gonna say, who'd buy a used vehicle in Chicago to be all rusted out? Well, this one isn't. Sure, it's got a lot of snow and ice on it because he drove it a long way. But there's a reason there's no rust on this. Check it out, the previous owner was in Hawaii. It came from Hawaii. There it is. Toyota City, that's Hawaiian number, it's Hawaiian guy, and they're telling you to go to Alamona, Leeward, up to Pearl City. Now, this is the all-wheel drive version. Toyota makes good all-wheel drive versions. Great for the snow in Chicago, and of course, as we look inside, it's got the setup for driving on the snow, and this baby may be an 03, but it's only got 166,000 miles on it. That is absolutely nothing for one of these Highlanders. Had a customer in Houston had 450,000 miles on his. Original engine, original transmission. These things are made to last. Listen to the engine. Aside from a tiny bit of clatter, which is normal, it's not shaking at all. The AC still blows ice cold, though you don't care about that. But the heater blows tons of heat. The all-wheel drive system works perfectly. He's got it all set up for the Chicago winters. He's got everything. His jumper box, all of his safety equipment. Looks like he might even have a tent in there. They got the great cover so no one can see when it's closed. You got lots of space, comfy seats. We got old school tape deck, you know, that's Toyota for you. They were a little bit behind the times, but it does have a CD too. He took his time when he bought this. He spent 3-4 months looking for the thing. He saw it rusted out once. Being in Chicago, what a shocker there, you know? But he found this one from Hawaii. No rust at all on it. Solid, made in Japan vehicles. But even though, as you can see here, made in Japan, if you're looking at one of these used, you want to check the frame underneath. As I always tell people, if you're looking at one of these used, crawl under it, see if the frame is rotten. If they're rotten, you don't buy them. But this came from Hawaii, and I guess whoever owned it in Hawaii stayed away from driving on the beach. Because even in Houston, cars would rot if they went to Galveston and they drove on the beach all the time with the salt water, or if, say, they had a cottage right on the ocean where the salt mist would get in the garage and eat everything up. This one obviously did not see the beaches of Hawaii, so it's perfectly fine. These things can last forever. Seems to be perfectly fine, but let's get the old computer out and check it out. So in goes the computer, up it goes, and off to the races. Well, we're gonna have to switch computers. This battery's dead. As I warned people about electric cars, boy, if this lithium-ion battery can't last in the cold, imagine if your whole car was electronic. Get to the Think tool, which plugs in. It actually operates off the 12 volts of the diagnostic terminal, so this one will last forever, so it doesn't really matter. It knows it's a Highlander. Now start it up, and here it goes. Scanning absolutely everything. Here we go. It's got just some minor diagnostic trouble codes, so let's check them out. Side airbag sensor, right and left side. As they age, the sensors get a little bit wanky, but like I say, put your seat belts, buckle them on. They work perfectly fine. Don't depend on an airbag on a vehicle that's 18 years old. I wouldn't trust it. I use seat belts in all my cars because they're mechanical and they work. That's just something you expect. On a car this old, you're not gonna spend a bunch of money fixing stupid airbag side sensors. Airbag sensors, who really cares? So let's read the live data. 1.00 is perfect, look. Oh, ooh, it went to 0.99, and that one, the same thing. Here we go. Here's the misfire count, okay? 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0. Something that I see a lot in these older ones. The long-term fuel trim of 1 and 2. The long-term fuel trim is -6 on 1 and -2.38 on 2. So it's getting a little bit too much fuel with age. On a machine like this, I just advise people, put some good cleaner in the fuel tank. The injectors probably aren't spraying a perfect cone, a little bit off. Clean her off and do it. And if push comes to shove, if you really want to try to get it perfect, you'd have a mechanic put a pressure cleaning fuel injection machine on and clean all the injectors. But this thing runs so good that I'd probably just leave it alone. Because really, he drove from Chicago to Paducah, Kentucky, and he got like 22 miles a gallon in the cold and the ice, an all-wheel drive vehicle. So that's the best you're going to get anyways. Personally, I just leave it alone. I mean, look at it. We'll put it in drive. Is it shaking? No, it's not shaking at all. You look at the short-term fuel trim, it's even less, you know? It's just subtracting 0.81% on each side. That's not much. That's practically perfect. So here we have a $4,700 snow vehicle. Let's see how it works in the snow. Away we go. Now it's all-wheel drive. Is it slipping and sliding? No. And does it ride smooth? Yes. That's the thing about these Highlanders. They ride more like a car. This isn't a big SUV that rides like a truck. It rides a lot more like a car. And so they're very comfy. You can take them cross country. You can use them in city. Women are totally happy riding around on these things because they don't bounce around like a big truck. Because a lot of the SUVs are basically just modified trucks. Now you notice I'm not really slowing down on this road because I don't have to with this all-wheel drive system. And it doesn't even have snow tires. It's got all-season tires. As you see, we're testing there. Let's step on the gas a little. Complete control. Tracks like a dream. Look, Ma, no hands. It's driving itself. This is an all-wheel drive vehicle. Is it noisy? No, it's not. It's not like those noisy four-wheel drives you're seeing humming. It's a very quiet vehicle. Matter of fact, the only thing you're hearing is the ice and sleet hitting the windshield. This tape is useful. It's a holder. It's to hold his phone. So he's using old technology for modern technology. You don't need to make lemonades if you got lemons. Use your cassette deck as a smartphone holder. Here we're going. Look, we're taking a corner in the snow. And I'm not really letting up, and it's still not sliding. This is probably the planet's best $4,700 snowmobile ever. And hilariously enough, it came from Hawaii, where it doesn't snow at all, unless you go to the top of the mountain where the observatory is. So, Lily, you were worried that your husband got a bad deal? He got a fantastic deal. He should have bought 2 of them. So if you're looking for the ultimate snowmobile, if you can find one of these for $4,700, especially one from Hawaii that's only got a little over 100,000 miles on it, pick it up as fast as you can. And here's some bonus questions and answers. I am Neil. So Scotty, I went to the dealer for my 15K service on my 2020 Corolla. They didn't change the oil because it was changed to 10K. They said it's not necessary. It takes 0W16. Am I paranoid or should I wait till 20? I don't care what anybody says. People can do whatever they want, but I would still change the oil every 5,000 to 7,000 miles in any car. Now, theoretically, you use this good synthetic oil, you can change it every 10,000 miles. But oil's relatively cheap, and those engines cost a ton of money. Take your Toyota Corolla. If the engine ever wore out, you can't even get a new engine. Toyota does not sell engines. You get an engine, you're either going to get one that's rebuilt, who knows how well it was rebuilt, or a used engine. I even asked one of my friends who runs a junkyard. I said, you know, you guys are paying so much more for cars that are wrecked because the values are up. I said, how do you make money? They said, yeah, back in the day, we get the wrecked cars for $500. Now we have to pay thousands and thousands for them. And he said, well, one of the things is they're late model wrecks. We got to pay a lot of money. We immediately remove the engines and transmissions, and we tell all the local dealers. So what they do with the engines and transmissions, call all the dealers, and they would buy them for warranty work. So let's say you had a Honda and an engine blew up. Under warranty, they're not going to fix that engine. They get one of these low-mileage used engines that they bought from a junkyard. Honda also does not sell brand-new engines to anybody. So, you're never going to get a brand-new engine. Take care of the one you got. Change it every 5,000 to 7,000 miles. I don't care. Oil's cheap, engines are expensive, and their warranty is out long before they're going to wear out anyways. Do a little more maintenance than they ask. You know, it's to their advantage to have a car break down when it's got 150,000 miles or more. It's out of warranty, then they'll sell you something else. So you want to take care of it as good as you can. Change it more often than what they say. You don't have to change it every 3, but 5 to 7 is perfectly adequate. Well, Renault's getting an electric car business. They have what's called the Mobilize brand, and they have an EZ1 prototype electric car. If you take a look at it, to me, it looks like a kid's Transformer toy that's going to transform into something else. Maybe it'll transform into an actual car. Their theory is, especially in France and Europe, most cars are parked 90% of the time. Why waste your money building something big when you don't need to? Basically an urban mobility solution, just like a smart car, only it's even smaller. 3 of these cars can fit in the space that 1 normal car can fit into. So it'd be very maneuverable, has top to bottom glass so you can really see when you're parking close. You can see everything, the curb just by looking. And the French are learning from the Chinese. It's going to have a battery switch system where when you run out, you just swap your battery for another one at a station so you have to worry about charging it up. To me, that makes a lot of sense, especially with smaller vehicles. What happens when you get having a barbecue, you run out of propane, hey, you go swap your tanks. Well, same thing here. You can swap your batteries. Plus, of course, they're talking about green. The EZ1 prototype is 50% recycled materials. And then it says once it's done, 95% of the whole car can be recycled. And sure, it's a little bit funky looking. It is a prototype, but interurban transportation kind of makes sense. Why have something big when you don't need something big? Something little. Most of the cars, if only one person is in them, hey, make them so one person or 2 people at most can get in them, and you can zip around into things. And of course, they're electric cars, so they're not polluting. People aren't going to be whining about them, and they're so small. If it is 1/3, that means you can put 3 times as many in the same city, so that'll reduce congestion. Not a bad idea, really. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.